to be honest, since training camp started, it's been a disaster. He doesn't like to practice. The Bears are frustrated with him. The interior of the offensive line is probably the least sexy thing to talk about when it comes to football, but right now for the Bears, it's their biggest problem.
It's been 2 weeks into the NFL season, and Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears already have problems. Now, I don't want this to seem like me saying that,
oh my God, Caleb Williams is a gigantic bust.
Because, once again, it's only been 2 weeks into his career. But there is still a plethora of issues for the Chicago Bears, and it seems like Caleb Williams wasn't as pro-ready as we have imagined. So, before we get to the content, we're on a grind to 1 million subscribers, giving away $300 to a subscriber that turns on their notifications on this channel. Now that we get all of that out of the way, work! If you took my Monday Night Football picks, congratulations on 5xing your money. This man used the Caleb Williams free square to turn $20 into $135, but this maniac was able to turn $30 to $1,020. And the good news is Prize Picks is running 2 more weeks of the Caleb Williams free square, and I have some ideas to make us some free money. If you haven't signed up for Prize Picks and you're really good at guessing how well players will perform in games, I highly recommend it. And right now they're hooking up my subscribers fat. When you use my promo code Mikerophone, get a free $50 when you play an entry of $5 or more. I'll leave a link to it in the description down below, and I give away all of my picks for free on my Instagram. I'll have additional picks in my Instagram story at The Flight Mike, and thank you Prize Picks for the sponsor. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? This past off season was filled with plenty of drama for the Chicago Bears. They had a very difficult decision that they needed to make, primarily because they made a trade that completely decimated a franchise. As you guys remember, the Chicago Bears are responsible for destroying the Carolina Panthers by trading the #1 overall pick in the 2023 draft to the Panthers in return for the 9th pick in the 2023 NFL draft, a 2nd round pick in the 2023 NFL draft, the #1 overall pick in the 2024 NFL draft, a 2nd round pick in 2025, and DJ Moore. Ultimately, that #1 overall pick in the 2024 NFL draft gave the Chicago Bears an opportunity to make a crucial decision about their future at the quarterback position. See, Justin Fields was just starting to figure it out as the quarterback for the Chicago Bears. And although he showed some mild improvement in his final season with the Bears, throwing for 16 touchdowns and 9 interceptions, while also rushing for 657 rushing yards and throwing for 2,500 passing yards, the Chicago Bears had to make a decision between retaining Justin Fields and drafting Caleb Williams, a player that people were considering as the next coming of Patrick Mahomes. And fans were very vocal about this decision. If you guys remember, DJ Moore did not want the Chicago Bears to trade Justin Fields.
Somebody asked me that last week. I'm still like, bruh, where are y'all seeing this? Like, what makes him not the quarterback for the Chicago Bears right now? I get y'all got everybody coming out. What, it's like 2 of them? I don't think they better than Justin, so they cool.
And at the time, I could understand being DJ Moore because this man has had the most tumultuous career in regards to quarterbacks. I mean, the man had Cam Newton, then Baker Mayfield, then Sam Darnold throwing him the football. He gets traded to the Bears and he has Justin Fields throwing him the football, and now they want to change his QB once again. But it was a very difficult discussion to have because the problem is, if Justin Fields did develop into a star QB in his 4th season, then the Chicago Bears would have to pay him Tua Tagovailoa money, which, by the way, we have a huge update on that front. We'll leave that in the end screen for you guys to check out as well, in addition to the video on Bryce Young getting benched. Ultimately, the Chicago Bears felt like the opportunity to draft a quarterback of Caleb Williams' caliber was too much to pass up. Not only could Caleb Williams potentially be an improvement at the quarterback position, but at the same time, you have a quarterback that is going to be on a cheap contract for the next 5 years of his career. And people were saying Caleb Williams was very pro-ready. So with with that being said, the Chicago Bears made their decision. But Caleb Williams wasn't a 100% slam dunk. You see, at the same time, he wasn't the most likable individual when he was coming out of USC. And this is despite us making fun of him for how zesty he is and the fact that he paints his fingernails. I'm going to leave that out of it. A good example is look at what he drove at USC. And then prior to his final season at USC, he mentioned that he wasn't going to play for specific NFL teams because his father was worried that he could go to the worst possible situation, which is not what the Chicago Bears is at all whatsoever. But then on top of that, his dad asked for equity stake in a football team despite his son not even playing a single snap in the NFL. On top of that, he had very viral moments like crying when USC lost to Washington, and fans really love to make fun of this moment in Caleb Williams' college football career.
Like, this dude boo-hooing.
Man, just over a game, right? He didn't break his leg or tear some shit.
No,
I mean,
man.
if he just rolled off the cart over there.
But even when he had the opportunity to fire back at the media and fans, the way he did it, at least in my opinion, the delivery was a little corny.
You've received a lot of criticism when you showed your emotion with your parents.
Yeah.
What would you say to the people that were taking shots at that and how that made you feel that hearing that criticism?
Yeah, there's not many people in the world that get to experience what I experience every game day, every practice day. So it kind of goes back to, it always kind of goes back to that for me. It's something that I only get to experience. It's something that I really care about, which is not only winning the game, but, doing it with my teammates. So every time we lose, I feel like I let my teammates down.
And then came the pre-draft process where he made everything a bit more of a headache, like declining medical exams. And then when he explained why, his explanation wasn't that great.
And obviously when you start doing things that's not traditional, whether you're at a school like USC.
And I support you 100%.
Yeah,
Trust me.
Whether you're here at the Combine that's
Yeah.
been going on for I don't know how many years, but a long time.
Right.
And so I'd say the main thing has just been, it was a decision with my family and my team. And it really came down to not all 32 teams can draft me. So I give all 32 teams.
Yeah.
My personal medical things, there's nothing there. Played all 30, how many ever games I played.
I don't even remember you being banged up like the
to see.
slightest.
I've never came off the field unless
I love
my
it.
helmet came off and the ref took me off.
Right.
And so, my thing has just been, give it to the teams that are going to pursue me. So on my visits, I'll be doing medicals, but just decided not to do it here. In a sense, I, have an idea of where I'm going to go. Not the place, but the
the
place.
general area of the
general
draft.
area
We know
of
the
draft.
spot.
You're going
We
in the
know the
top
spot.
2 picks. You're going number 1, bro. Just to
Yeah.
let you know. You're going 1.
And then finally, there's no better way to get fans to despise you than by calling people sheep because you think you're God's gift to the world, despite not playing a single down in the NFL.
I mean, everybody wants to be in these two 12.5 shoes right here. So some opinion of a sheep, Lions don't worry about that. So, keep moving on, keep fighting. Fight on.
Now, I want to make something clear. This isn't me saying I despise Caleb Williams. What I'm trying to say is I could understand why people are rooting for this man to fail. Because there are parts of him that are relatively unlikable. And there are just parts of him that are just very strange. I mean, this man knew he was going to get drafted by the Chicago Bears before they actually drafted him, especially once they traded Justin Fields.
I've known Keenan for a little bit now, hung out. He was at the Chargers at the time. Now he's at the Bears for, like it says here, for a 4th-round pick, which is crazy. He had his best year last year. He's a beast. Good guy. Awesome dude to be around. He can give you a lot of knowledge.
But then when the Chicago Bears traded for Keenan Allen, which was a great trade for Caleb Williams, giving him one of the best wide receiver cores we've ever seen a rookie quarterback get in NFL history, Caleb Williams acted like he didn't know who he was when they were walking next to one another, which I think is just ridiculous. Like acting like you don't know who one of your top targets are going to be once you get into the NFL. Once the Bears made their decision, Bears players were obviously concerned. I mean, Jalen Johnson straight up said that he needs to leave Hollywood behind him on the Up and Adams show.
Like you just humble yourself coming in the building. I feel like it's one of those things where it's like you can't, like you said, you can't bring that Hollywood stuff into the building, especially now with guys who play this game. I feel like at a high level for consecutive years in the league. When it's like, nah, that what you did in college, the Hollywood, it's like, nah, that you got to prove yourself. That stuff like that doesn't matter. But I feel like you you got to get to know him too. I think it's a fine line between trying to prove a point to him, but also getting to know him. Because I mean, at the end of the day, we want him to be the absolute best he can be. I mean, that's what we're bringing him in for, to win games. So I think truly just learning who he is as a person, learning him deeper than just all the Hollywood stuff you see, but actually trying to learn and get to know him, and then from there knowing what pushes him.
And once again, Caleb Williams went viral for asking for no franchise tag in his rookie contract, which, just like asking for equity stake in a team, I could appreciate the effort, but at the same time, it's kind of cocky to assume you're gonna be the next big thing in the NFL when you have yet to play a single down in the NFL. It gives off a pompous type of vibe where he feels like he is above the rules because he thinks he's gonna be better than everybody else, which on one hand could be admirable, or on the other hand, you could find him to be a little self-righteous. Now, once he got drafted, DJ Moore, once again, says that Caleb Williams needs to not worry about Justin Fields' legacy, which at the time was very strange, but looking back at it, kind of makes a little sense. And then we finally got an opportunity to see Caleb Williams in the preseason, which I have to admit, there were some plays where this guy literally did look like the next coming of Patrick Mahomes. Chicago Bears fans were excited. They've never had quarterback play like this before, and to have a player that is even slightly resembling Patrick Mahomes on the football field is a blessing, to say the least. And that was pretty much the apex of Caleb Williams' brief NFL career so far, because in week 1, although the Chicago Bears won, it most definitely wasn't because of Caleb Williams. I've gone on record multiple times saying that the Chicago Bears have done a remarkable job rebuilding this roster over the past couple of years. Ever since they traded away Khalil Mack and Roquan Smith, this team has been making smart decision after smart decision after smart decision. Whether it was destroying the Carolina Panthers franchise with their trading of the #1 overall pick in the 2023 NFL draft, trading for Montez Sweat and then extending him, making sure that they could convince Jalen Johnson to stay, retaining Matt Eberflus and giving him an opportunity so there could be continuity for the Chicago Bears, trading for Keenan Allen for a 4th round pick, and even selecting Rome Odunze, which in hindsight could potentially be a mistake because at the time that we're making this video, it looks like the Bears clearly had more pressing needs on the offense. So in week 1 of Caleb Williams' career, the defense absolutely put on a show, pretty much carrying the Chicago Bears to a victory over the Tennessee Titans, primarily because Will Levis decided to just fling the ball over to the Chicago Bears for some reason towards the end of the game. So the Bears won that 24-17. But Caleb Williams had a 48% completion percentage, threw for under 100 yards, 0 interceptions, and 0 touchdowns. Thankfully, PrizePicks gives us a free square on this, where he only needs 1 passing yard, because if I had to guess Caleb Williams' legitimate passing numbers each and every week, it'd be a little bit more depressing. But week 2 was supposed to be Caleb Williams' welcome into the NFL. On Sunday Night Football, Caleb Williams faced off against another player that is a clear future face of the NFL, another quarterback that got drafted into a remarkable situation onto a team that is consistently making intelligent decisions, whether it's the drafting of Tank Dell, the drafting of CJ Stroud, moving up to select Will Anderson Jr., trading away Deshaun Watson to the Cleveland Browns for an insane return. The Houston Texans and CJ Stroud are clearly going to be a team that is going to captivate fans moving forward, and this is before I even brought up the Stephon Diggs trade over this past offseason. And in this game, on a national scale, Caleb Williams looked terrible. Coming into this game, Caleb Williams decided to dress, well, the way Caleb Williams typically dresses. But once we got to the second quarter, the Houston Texans took a 13-3 lead versus Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears. And this one picture went absolutely viral. Over here, you could see Keenan Allen, who isn't dressed up for this game, talking to Caleb Williams, and DJ Moore looking very upset. And this isn't the first time that DJ Moore looked very frustrated. And we'll get to more on that in just a sec. Throughout the game, Caleb Williams was pressured on 36% of his dropbacks, getting sacked 7 times in this one game by the Houston Texans. And one particular offensive lineman's going viral here, and that's offensive guard Nate Davis, who isn't giving any effort at all whatsoever on both passing plays and running plays. This is accompanied by an article, which is also a rumor, saying that the Bears are frustrated with Caleb Williams' offensive lineman Nate Davis not practicing. So this is coming from The Athletic's Adam Hodge, who noted that one of the Bears offensive linemen lineman Nate Davis, the individual that we just showed you, isn't practicing.
And to be honest, since training camp started, it's been a disaster. Nate Davis is probably not a huge national story, but locally it's been a big story for the last 2 years. He doesn't like to practice. The Bears are frustrated with him not practicing, and I think he was going to lose that starting job at right guard to Ryan Bates, but Ryan Bates got hurt. And last week, actually, Ryan Bates outsnapped Nate Davis in the opener in a rotation. But then Ryan Bates suffered another injury this week in practice, and he's now on IR. So Nate Davis is out there by default. They got nobody else there to put in, even though I don't think they want to play him. So it's the interior of the offensive line is probably the least sexy thing to talk about when it comes to football. But right now for the Bears, it's their biggest problem.
Which is significant because Caleb Williams literally got pressured 23 times on 48 dropbacks. And according to Pro Football Focus, Nate Davis allowed 4 pressures and 1 sack, and Darnell Wright, who plays tackle next to Nate Davis on the right side of the line, allowed 5 pressures and 2 sacks. But at the same time, Nate Davis performed really well in the first half, but the wheels completely fell off in the second half, which resulted in the Bears' second half offense being terrible. 4 of their 8 drives ended in 3 plays or fewer, 3 punts, 1 interception. 2 other drives lasted 5 plays, which is 1 punt and 1 turnover on downs, and the only sustained drive that they had gained 61 yards on 12 plays, which resulted in a 54-yard field goal by Cairo Santos. But at the same time, there's more to this story. Apparently, when Nate Davis was signed to his 3-year, $30 million contract, he was asked about a fan response to his practice habits during training camp in August. And all he said is, "My focus is just on the building, on the players, and on our coaching staff and whatever they ask me to do." At the time, he wasn't practicing due to an undisclosed injury, so for all you know, this could be injury related. So that's one explanation for why Caleb Williams isn't performing well and why the Chicago Bears offense has been so anemic. And that's a very legitimate argument for plays like this. You know, when Caleb Williams is dancing around in the pocket, trying to play backyard football and doing his best Patrick Mahomes impersonation, where he throws it into triple coverage and gets intercepted in the beginning of the fourth quarter. But you could also make an argument that this is very troubling if you're a Bears fan, because a huge reason why Caleb Williams got drafted #1 overall was because of his ability to make plays like this at USC. And at the time, people were saying,
"Oh my God, it's just like Patrick Mahomes! Caleb Williams has the activity of Patrick Mahomes!"
So the counter argument to this is he was able to do this stuff at USC. Patrick Mahomes does this stuff for the Kansas City Chiefs. So if his offensive line is so terrible, why doesn't he just dance around in the pocket and do Patrick Mahomes-like things? But on top of that, Caleb Williams has just thrown some really poor balls as well. Literally throwing it to the Houston Texans right here, which at the same time you could say is the offensive line's fault once again. But when you take a look at his second interception of the game, where he was trying to be the next coming of Patrick Mahomes, he clearly has some footwork problems as well. But that's not to say that Caleb Williams still wasn't in the game. I mean, 3 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. The Bears were down by 9. Caleb Williams drops back, has a fairly clean look at DJ Moore, and then completely misses him. But at the same time, people are saying this is DJ Moore's fault because he tripped on his break and landed 2 feet away from the ball. This seems like a catchable ball, especially when you freeze it up here. So maybe DJ Moore's frustrated about that and not really mad at Caleb Williams. This was what DJ Moore had to say about the game once it concluded.
What did you find most frustrating tonight about the offensive game? I don't know. Maybe everything. Get the ball in good field position, we ain't capitalize, but that's on us. We got to go out there and execute the plays that's called and do our thing and win our one-on-one matchups.
It's taking longer than you expected for things to come together offensively.
Nah. When they finally connect and we all on the same cylinder, well, in the same cylinder, it's going to be good. Right now, we're still building, we're building a puzzle together. So until we get that puzzle fully complete, it's going to be an up and down road.
What's the missing piece?
Just everybody being on the same page and being consistent, not having flags every other play, and just going out there and win.
And then at the same time on 4th and 17, Caleb Williams did have an opportunity to make a play here to keep the Bears in the game, but there was a clear miscommunication between himself and Rome Odunze. He was expecting an out from Rome Odunze. Rome Odunze kept on going straight. The result, turnover on downs, but if he came down with this, then the Bears could have potentially been in the game. Also bear in mind that the pocket was clean in that particular play. And what's really pissing off Chicago Bears fans on top of all of this is the fact that me Meanwhile, in Pittsburgh, Justin Fields is having a career year for himself. I mean, yeah, we were roasting him in preseason, but at the same time, he was throwing the most pinpoint accurate passes, but you just happen to only see it in practice. But now he's starting to do this stuff in games. So far, throughout 2 games, Justin Fields has a 70% completion percentage. Yeah, he's only thrown for 273 passing yards and a touchdown, but there's no interceptions. He's only been sacked 4 times this season, and it looks like he might run away with the starting job. And then you start to wonder what the true issues were for the Chicago Bears from the get-go. And if you take a look at Justin Fields' tenure with the Chicago Bears, throughout 3 seasons, he was sacked 135 times, including 44 throughout the 2023 season. And Caleb Williams has already been sacked 9 times throughout 2 games of his NFL career. He has a QBR of a 24.2. He has yet to throw a single touchdown. He has a 56% completion percentage. And at the end of the day, I know what we might be wondering. Is this Caleb Williams' fault? Is it the Chicago Bears' fault? Were the Chicago Bears reckless by drafting Rome Odunze instead of looking for offensive line help? Or is Caleb Williams just trying to settle into the NFL? Look, honestly, all of these could be true. Some of these could be true and some of them could not be true. I do agree Caleb Williams' offensive line has been terrible so far. I do agree there are some things he was expected to do, but he hasn't been able to do yet. Now, do I think this means he'll never be able to do them? No, not necessarily, because he's only 2 games into his career. At the end of the day, this video was more of an update to give you an idea that Caleb Williams, aka Superman, according to Pro Football Reference, apparently that's his nickname, is currently struggling in the NFL. And that could be subject to change. We've seen players with horrible rookie seasons turn it around the very next year. At the same time, we've seen quarterbacks with horrible rookie seasons that got benched by week 2 in their 2nd year, which we have a full video on that. Bryce Young's career in Carolina is officially over. He got benched after week 2 of the NFL season. It's absolutely insane. The Panthers are a joke of a franchise and they're in shambles. I'll leave a link to it in the end screen and I'll meet you guys there so we can discuss it a bit further. And aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.